Hello. You can manifest with the law of assumption. Day 3 of our 30 days, acting as if, assuming it is real, praise and thanksgiving.
Welcome to the Indigo Room. Serenity ahead.
Here we go, it's the Indigo, sending the best and bliss, yes, so let's go. Bringing brainwaves to a higher plane, manifest your world, shaking the mundane. Shift thought, make moves inspired, change self-worth for words, taking you higher. Bring forth your serenity, forget words like destiny. Cause the path you choose is up to you, so make your move to find the way in you. The touch the sky will mellow high, and spirits rise and winds of change. So yes, I invite you. So come on through, see how we do in the Indigo Room, yeah.
Welcome to the Indigo Room.
Welcome to the Indigo Room. I am your host, Sydney Chase. And this is where we discuss all things spiritual. By that, I mean that we are non-physical spiritual beings having physical human experiences. Life is supposed to be good. It is supposed to be delicious, even when it is wicky wacky. Tonight is day 3 of our check-in for APT, assuming it real, acting as if, and praise and thanksgiving. So I want to welcome you to the Indigo Room. Hey, Linda. Good to see you again. I hope your power's still on. Hi, Susanna. Susanna's in the house. Welcome. So tonight we are doing our 3rd day check-in. I said I was going to be here. I'm here. I hope you had a good night's sleep. I hope you woke up. I hope you went to sleep assuming the wish fulfilled, and I hope you woke up that way. And if you didn't, that's okay. We got 27 more days together, and then you will hopefully be in a groove, and you'll be able to do this on your own without me checking in on you every day going day, being nosy. How did you do today? Is it okay? What you do? I'm like a helicopter mother. Hey, Barb. Hi, how are you? Mona, how you doing? Good to see you. You just got home from work 10 minutes ago. Warming some soup up. Okay, all right. I got my warm tea because it is cold in New York City tonight. I had to make some tea. It's very, very chilly. We have been blessed with very warm weather this whole entire winter and not a lick of snow. And then yesterday it got very, 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 very cold. We still didn't get any snow though, which is, very surprising here in the Northeast, but we didn't get any snow. So, I'm not really mad about that at this point. Could have had snow for Christmas. We didn't. Okay, it's over. I don't need any more snow. I don't need to see snow this year at all. I'm good. So how are you all doing? We're going to do a check-in a little bit in just about 15 minutes. I'm going to try to keep this brief because, it's just a check-in. It's not a regular schmegula show. But I did want to touch on something. I got an email today and from one of our Indigo roomies, and she was having a little bit of difficulty. So I wanted to talk about that tonight. Dealing with a housemate or a roommate who is extremely loud. Okay? While you're trying to feel your wish fulfilled and you're in your meditation and you have your headphones in and you getting in the groove, and you have somebody in your household who is extremely freaking loud. And I know how that is. I know how that is. If you all remember, those of you who started out with me in 2007, when I first started the Indigo Room, I was living with my dad, right? In a studio apartment, and I slept on his couch. I was sleeping on his couch for, almost a year. And God bless my father, rest in peace, Bob Daly. He was loud as all get out. First of all, he snored extremely loud. And he watched television extremely loud. Like you could hear it in the hallway coming down into his apartment. And it wasn't just, it was the news. It was the bad news. It was, all of his cop shows, banging, shooting, carrying on, all kinds of nonsense. And here I was. This was in we lived in Brooklyn. And here I was in the same space as him, because it was a studio apartment, right? And to sleep on the couch. And oh my goodness. I was like, oh my God. Could he be quiet? Shut. I just, but it's my father. I'm not going to tell. And then I'm in his house. I can't tell him to be quiet, right? So often what I would do is get into my imagination and just imagine. I know it's very hard. Trust me. I've been there. I know I have been there. I have done it. I did it for a whole year. And I decided that this is my reality. Even though I'm in his space, it's my reality. It's me. I have to figure out a way how to navigate and, have the experience that I wanted. And I would imagine him quiet. That's it. That's all I can tell you. I imagined my dad quiet. And eventually, that's what happened. It was sometimes he didn't even know I was in the apartment. That's how good I got at imagining my quiet space. I would be in the apartment and he would start looking for me because he couldn't see me, basically. He wasn't blind. He was not blind. But I got to the point that my spirit or whatever, and I didn't hear him sometimes. A lot of times. He could have the TV on and I would be in a zone. And it wasn't my headphones blocking me out. It wasn't the music. In the beginning, I had to try to block him out with the music. And I used that. I would just imagine it quiet. And then sometimes he would wind up just getting up and turning the TV down without even me saying anything, without even me asking. So it's my experience, mine, and I get to decide how it's going to be. And according to Neville, right, everybody is us pushed out, right? So if that's the case, then we should be able to determine what they're going to do, say, be in our experience. It's like when I imagined my old boss, if you all remember, those of you that have been with me for the longest time, I imagined exactly the words that my boss would say to me one day. My boss, my manager, my director, when I used to sell vacations. I don't know if you all remember that. And I envisioned the words that I wanted him to say, the exact words I wanted him to say to me. And that happened. So we have the ability to adjust our experience to what we want it to be. Is it easy to do? Sometimes. Sometimes not. Especially when you're feeling wicky-wacky and you got a lot of, chaos and confusion going on. Trust me, I know. And then what I would do also is I would bless my dad. I would just bless the living daylights out of him. And eventually, I don't have a time frame as to, how long it took, but it didn't take that long that he also just couldn't see me anymore. Like he would have to actually look for me in the apartment. And the apartment was not big. Trust me. It's not like, I could go hide somewhere. It was a studio apartment. So it had a big room, a bathroom, and the kitchen. And we were able to live that way harmoniously for a whole year. So it is possible to have someone adjust to you instead of you adjusting to them. And that's what our imagination, the power of our imagination has for us. I want to just, before we check in with everybody, and I know, Barb, are you ready to share your story tonight? I want to go over the imagination lecture that Neville talks about. And it'll be good for us to hear it again, I think. And I think you should just take a listen. I'll read it. I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. I don't know when was the last time that any of us read it, or if you've read it before, you can try. Oh, well, you're eating, right? You just came home. So we could do it another time if you want. Just make sure you write it down so you can remember. All right. I know that you just got in. You just got home from work 10 minutes ago, so you're getting your food together. Let me get my screen up. I went to sleep last night after the show. I did some work on my website, and one of the things that came up for me, came in my thought process, was prove God. And I thought about that, as I drifted off to sleep in my assumption. And I was like, yeah, that's what we're doing. There's a scripture in Malachi that says to prove. Let me get it. Let me see. Let me find it. I don't have the whole thing, but it says to prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open up the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. Does anybody remember that from when you went to church or when you read the Bible? Prove me. One of the things that is attributed to that is tithes and tithes and offerings. But basically, God says, prove me, right? Even Neville says, prove God, prove your imagination to yourself. You really are more powerful than you think. You really are in your own experience. So you can shift and change even your environment and the people that live with you. If I could do it with Bob Daly, you can do it with, whomever might be in your space who might be causing you a little wiki wackiness and drama. So I encourage you to go into your imagination and imagine the environment that you want to be in, and the people around you will start to change, or they will move out of your experience. And just keep blessing them. Bless. Just God bless you. Bless you. I bless you. I bless this situation success. I am blessing you. Especially if they're driving you crazy. But let me share this. Let's get this screen up here. Here we go. Let me see. Can you all see this? Let me make myself smaller so this could be bigger. Can you see the words? They're kind of tiny. Let me see if I can make the words bigger. Let's see. Is that any better? Well, this is from the How to Use Your Imagination lecture. And you can listen to this on 100K Watt on his channel. I will put his channel in the chat. Actually, I'm going to give you the whole. This is where I found all of my Neville lectures that we went over on the Indigo Room when we were on TalkShoe. And these are still there. You can still download them. You can read them yourself. You can listen to Neville on 100K Watts channel, and it's all, free. He has it up there freely. But one of the things that he was talking about, and he said, once a man said to me, Neville, I love to listen to you talk about imagination, but as I do so, I invariably touch the chair with my fingers and push my feet into the rug just to keep my sense of the reality and the profundity of things. Well, undoubtedly, he is still touching the chair with his fingers and pushing his feet into the rug. And what that one thing is, one paragraph is stating, is that this person could not even conceive of being in his own wonderful human imagination. And so he likes to grip onto the reality of things as they are. And that's okay. Some people like to do that. He said, let me tell you of another one who didn't touch with her fingers and didn't push that foot of hers into the board of the streetcar. It's the story of a young girl just turned 17. It was Christmas Eve, and she is sad of heart, for that year she had lost her father in an accident, and she is returning home to what seemed to be an empty house. She was untrained to do anything, so got herself a job as a waitress. That night, it's quite late, Christmas Eve. It's raining. The car is full of laughing boys and girls home from their Christmas vacation, and she couldn't conceal the tears. Luckily for her, as I said, it was raining, so she stuck her face into the heavens to mingle her tears with the rain. And then, holding the rail of the streetcar, this is what she did. She said, "This is not rain. Why, this is spray from the ocean. And this is not the salt of tears that I taste, for this is the salt of the sea and the wind. And this is not San Diego. This is a ship, and I am coming into the Bay of Samoa." And there she felt the reality of all that she had imagined. She was on a streetcar, it was raining, and she decided that in her imagination, she was not on a streetcar. It was not raining. It was a spray of ocean. It wasn't salt from her tears, but from the ocean. And she was not in San Diego. She was on a ship. Then came the end of the journey, and all are out. Right? Okay, she's getting off the streetcar. 10 days later, this girl received a letter from a firm in Chicago saying that her aunt, several years before, when she sailed for Europe, deposited with them $3,000 with instructions that if she did not return to America, this money should be paid to her niece. They had just received information of the aunt's death and were now acting upon her instructions. 1 month later, this girl sailed for Samoa. As she came into the bay, it was late that night, and there was salt of the sea in the wind. It wasn't raining, but there was spray in the air, and she actually felt what she felt 1 month before. Only this time, she had realized her objective. So the whole record is technique. I want to show you today how to put your wonderful imagination right into the feeling of your wish fulfilled and let it remain there and fall asleep in that state. And I promise you, From my own experience, you will realize the state in which you sleep. If you could actually feel yourself right into the situation of your fulfilled desire and continue therein until you fall asleep, as you feel yourself right into it, remain in it until you give it all the tones of reality, until you give it all the sensory vividness of reality. As you do it in that state, quietly fall into sleep, and in a way you will never know. You could never consciously devise the means that would be employed. You would find yourself moving across a series of events, leading you towards the objective realization of this state. Now, here's a practical technique. The first thing you do, you must know exactly what you want in this world. Now, I don't care if it's one thing, if it's 10,000 things. You must know exactly what you want. When you know exactly what you want, make as lifelike a representation as possible of what you would see and what you would touch and what you would do were you physically present and physically moving in such a state. So, you you can read it. Okay, good. So Barb says, I love 100K. It's just him. Yeah, I love that too. It's just Neville. That's it. And I love going over there and just listening to Neville, or just grabbing, something from realneville.com and reading what Neville wrote and reading the lectures. And I'm so glad that the site is still up. Do you know how long that site's been up? That site's been up since we started on Neville in 2009, right? And it's still there. It says now, it says, for example, suppose I wanted a home, but I had no money, but I still know what I want. Without taking anything into consideration, I would make as lifelike a representation of the home that I would like, with all the things in it that I would want. And then this night, as I would go to sleep, I would, in a drowsy, sleepy state, the state that borders on sleep. You're not quite asleep yet. You're like, you're in that kind of twilight sleepy time. I would imagine that I am actually in such a house, that I were to step off the bed, I would step onto the floor of that house. Were I to leave this room, I would enter the room that is adjacent to my imagined room in that house. And while I am touching the furniture and feeling it to be solidly real, and while I'm moving from one room to the other in my imaginary house, I would go sound to sleep in that state. And I know that in a way I could not consciously devise, I would realize my house. I have seen it work time and time again. If I wanted a promotion in my business, I would ask myself, what additional responsibilities would be mine were I to be given this great promotion? What would I do? What would I say? What would I see? How would I act? And then in my imagination, I would begin to see and touch and do and act as I would outwardly see, touch, and act were I in that position. If I now desired the mate of my life, were I now in search of some wonderful girl or some wonderful man, what would I actually find myself doing that would imply that I found my state? For instance, suppose now I was a lady. One thing I would definitely do, I would wear a wedding ring. I would take my imaginary hands And I would feel that ring and I would imagine it to be there. And I would keep on feeling it and feeling it until it seemed to me to be solidly real. I would give it all the sensory vividness I am capable of giving anything. And while I'm feeling my imaginary ring, which implies that I am married, I would sleep. So if you know what you want, right? If you know what you want, one of the things that is very, very important is to be sure of that, to know exactly what you want. And that's why I say write it down. Write down what it is that you want to be, do, or have in your experience. If you want that nosy, some roommates are nosy. If you want that housemate to calm the hell down, then that's the way you have to sleep. Even if they are noisy and you're still trying to sleep, you have to get into that dreamy, sleepy state and keep imagining it quiet. I know I was thinking about this as well when I said prove God, because that is what you're doing in your imagination. You're proving God to yourself, your God self to yourself, to your conscious self. You're proving your super consciousness, which is your God self, your higher self, to your conscious self. You can do this. And when I woke up this morning, that's what I went to sleep with, the thought of me proving God. I was like, yeah, I'm proving God. That's right. That's what I'm doing. I went to sleep that way. And when I woke up this morning, and I was in my, in my space doing my meditation and writing and doing my journal, one of the things that I do first is I pray, which I told you all the things that I do in the morning. And then when I come in and I get my tea or my coffee and I sit down, my water and my, all my little accoutrements for the morning, and I journal and I read. Those are the three things that I do first. And when I opened up my book to read today, the first thing I come across in my reading, actually, no, it wasn't the first thing. I thought I was done with my reading and I was getting ready to close my book. I was like, okay, that's enough for me to read today. But for some reason, I was closing the book and I said, yeah, no, let me just finish the chapter. And the last part of the chapter, this is what it said. Man is here to prove God and bear witness to the truth. And he can only prove God by bringing plenty out of lack and justice out of injustice. Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts. And that's what I read to you at the beginning. If I will not open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing, that there shall not be enough room to receive it. So I went to sleep with that thought, kind of woke up with that thought. I was still in my assumption of what I'm wanting to be and have and do. And then when I sat down to do my reading, there it was. I was like, okay, oh, all right, I hear you, God. I hear you talking. So you can really change just about anything. You can not just about anything. You can change anything in your experience. It does take work. I can't lie about that. It does take some work. But wouldn't it be delicious to have what you want show up for you with that work? Let's say it took 3 months of you doing this. Wouldn't those 3 months be worth it? Like, if you can get to the end and experience that in your imagination, making those 3 months from now, today, Isn't it worth it? Don't you feel better? You feel so much better. And that is the whole point, because we want to marry our thought and our feeling. We want those two to be one. We want those two things to not feel separate. Your feeling is here, your thought is here. Your thought doesn't feel. So you got to get, feeling is the secret. Feeling is the key. So if you're feeling wicky-wacky, then you got to do more work in your imagination and get that feeling of peace, of quiet, of joy, of relaxation, if that's what you're, wanting to create. So if it was me, which it has been me, it has been me, I would do my best to get into that state. And I'm going to tell you that your mind will send you on tangents, and it's not going to be easy to reel it back in, to reel your thought process back in. It's not, because we're so used to taking things over and taking care of things on our own. And that's why I think the Create My Day journal is so important, because it reminds you to put things on the God side and let God handle it. While you're thinking, you're in your imagination, you're feeling good, this person is no longer loud and crazy and wicky-wacky, and you put that person, bless them, and put that person and what you want on the God side. And then you realize, okay, I don't have to do that. I cast this burden on the God within me, or the Christ within me, and I go free. That's something that I write down every day about certain things that, got me all wicky-wacky. And you can also stay in your imagination as best you can during the day. It's not only for when you go to sleep. That's the best time to do it. That is the best time to do it, because then you don't have your conscious, waking, wicky-wacky, monkey, crazy mind and thoughts bouncing around all over the place, causing you havoc. That's why it's the best time to do it is when you're drifting off to sleep. However, you can do it at any time. It's just that your conscious mind typically says, no, that's not true. This is not working. Who do you think you are? You think you could have everything? Yes, you can have everything. I am deserving. I had to put that all over my house for a long time before I could even accept it. I am worthy. I'm worthy of having everything that I'm asking for. I deserve to have all of these things that I'm asking for, because Goddess, my higher self, wants me to. They want me to be successful. It's like if I'm a business owner and I'm looking to hire someone, and I go through all of these resumes and I pick out the best ones and I bring them in for an interview, I want to hire somebody. It's not that I don't want to hire someone. I don't just, create all of this stuff so that I can't hire anybody. I want to. I'm rooting for you, right? So God is rooting for us. Spirit is rooting for us. And we have to root for ourselves, and we have to root for each other. That's why I'm here every day, checking in. So how did you all progress today? I know that, one person emailed me about the roommate, and hopefully that helped. But how are the rest of you doing? Are you finding it hard, difficult? Because nothing is going to work if you don't work it. I do want to read a little bit more before we get ready to go. But if you have any questions, you can certainly put them in the chat, or email me. I'm going to let that run. Email me at the Indigo Room at the Indigo Room 2 at gmail.com. And Mona, I just want to say I love your site. I mean, it's beautiful. I think I told you that already. You're doing a good job, so keep it up. There's something else that I definitely want to read to you before we go. And it was going back to when Neville was going to visit Barbados. And he didn't have the money. And he hadn't seen his family in a long time. And he says, at the time, I wanted to make a trip. Well, let me go back right up here. He said, people are totally, I'm not sharing the screen. That would be helpful. Linda says, I listened to meditation last night for the first time and fell asleep. Woohoo! Awesome. Because you said you was having difficulty with that, so that's great. Barb says, under wicky-wacky circumstances at work, but was able to say to myself, things are always working out for me, and they did. That's it in a nutshell. That's it. That is it. That might be something, that we all could use. I use that often, like it runs in my head now, and things are always working out for me. Things are always working out for me. Another one that I use quite a bit is the one I just told you. I cast this burden on the Christ or the God within me. Whatever it is that's got me going a little wicky wacky. I say that. I am one with the infinite intelligence, and I know all that I should know about whatever subject or whatever it is that I'm wanting to know about. These things you have to, I feel, write them, state them as often as possible, because writing it down one time is not going to work. You should see how often I write some affirmations that resonate with me. I write them every day. Sometimes I write them 2 or 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, however long it takes for me to get it, right? For it to click in my thought process, for it to make a groove in my brain. I will write it over and over and over and over until I start to remember it and say it as often. I can say it. I can catch myself and grab one of those affirmations and replace those wicky-wacky thoughts. I read somewhere that it takes 16 positive thoughts to replace or remove one negative one. Think about that. 16. Because we really do often go right to the negative one, whatever it is. Whatever it is that we're doing and whatever we got going on, we'll go right to the negative. Like somebody could say something, I could have all the compliments in the world, right? All day long. Oh, Sydney, you did this. You're great. You're fabulous. Blah, blah, blah. Let one person say, girl, you look terrible today. That's it. I'm done. I'm crushed. And then I got to go work on my, you want to box somebody. You want to be like, what? Who you talking to? Right? So a lot of times we will have all, it's just the thing. You go right for the negative one. You go right in. Go right for the negative comment. Everybody's saying, oh, you look great. Oh, your picture's beautiful. Blah, 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 blah. And then you get one that just sends you over the edge. Never mind that you had 50 beautiful compliments. Now you got one that just took you out. So it is really important for you to fortify yourself with positive affirmations and I am statements. And really, really pour that into yourself. It is like you don't go out well, maybe you do. I don't know. I don't. You don't go out every day without taking a shower. You don't go to work every day without taking a shower. You get in there and you shower, right? You have to do the same thing with your thoughts and your thought process. It's like taking a shower for your mind every day. And it's work. I read somewhere a long time ago, somebody said, well, what, do you expect me to walk around with a notebook writing all day? Well, if that's what's gonna help you, then yeah, hell yeah, I expect you to walk around with a notebook all day. I was like, yeah, do you expect me to walk around with a notebook all day? Now I walk around with a notebook all day. I know everything I need to know as I need to know it. I am one with infinite intelligence, and I know everything I should know about whatever it is that I want to know about. And I repeat that over and over. Say I am adored. Say I am worthy. I am focused. I am organized. If you're not an organized person. I am clarity. Maybe you got a lot of confusion. I am decisive. If you're the type of person that doesn't make decisions quickly. There's a lot of different I am statements that you can come up with. So think about the things that you want to be, do, and have. Fall asleep in your imagine, act as if. Let me just finish reading the rest of this, and then we can roll up out of here. Yeah, we're 12 minutes over time, but I just want to read this last part. And it says, but I appeal to you. He says, people are totally unaware of this fantastic power of the imagination, but when man begins to discover this power within him, he never plays the part that he formerly plays. He doesn't turn back and become just a reflector of life. From here on in, he is the affector of life. You are the affector of life. The secret of it is to center your imagination in the feeling of the wish fulfilled and remain there. For in our capacity to live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled lies our capacity to live the more abundant life. More of us are afraid to imagine ourselves as important and noble individuals, secure in our contribution of the world, just because at the very moment that we start our assumption, reason and our senses deny the truth of our assumption. We seem to be in the grip of an unconscious urge, which makes us cling desperately to the world of familiar things and resist all that threatens to tear us away from our familiar and seemingly safe moorings. So I'll read the rest of it tomorrow night because, we got to get up out of here. But I do want to encourage you to check that out. I put the link in the chat. I will put the link in the description for this one. If you haven't read it or you haven't listened to it, the link is also there for the actual lecture that Neville's speaking. So you can listen to that as well. Maybe listen to that before you drift off to sleep tonight or, next night or whenever you have time. But I do want to encourage you all to know that things may show up for you immediately. It all depends on what you're doing. But I was thinking about this, and I just want to share this with you. I was thinking about all of the things that I manifested using my imagination, right? And typically, it took about 3 months. For me, it took me about 3 months because I needed I needed to work on my imagination skills because I'm trying to create something that I didn't have and doing it through my imagination. So I'm trying to create something that I didn't have and using my imagination consciously in a practical way. And that was something that I had never done before. And I was thinking about this tonight, the timing factor. Because when I first started this, that used to drive me nuts. Well, how long does it take? Can I manifest this tomorrow? You may. But I went back and I was looking at all of the things that I've manifested since I started with Neville. And even before that, actually. And it was about 3 months. Because if you remember when I was talking about the $50,000, it was from February to April or May is when I had the surgery, the end of April, around that time. And the car took about 3 months. My boss, though, that was short. That didn't take long. My dad didn't take 3 months. That was short too. But dealing with people, it wasn't that long. But dealing with objects, it seemed to take a little bit longer. That's just me, though. Now it's not as long, but it depends on what it is I'm trying to create. So don't get tripped up about the time factor. Just do your best to sleep in the wish fulfilled. Assume that position. Assume that state. Stay in that state as you drift off to sleep. And then do your best to bring yourself back into that state as you go about your day. You don't have to force it. Just gently move yourself back from one state to the next, right? So if you're in a wicky-wacky state, go, okay, all right, I'm on the wicky-wacky train to hell. Let me see, what thought can I think? What thought can I think right now that will take me off of this train? And then do that. Well, we're all picking up whatever meditations that you want. And I have suggested Brian Scott, but if Brian Scott does not work for you, use whatever you want. I like him because I like to revise my day and I like to have that guided direction as I'm drifting off to sleep, because my mind will wander all the time. So I'm trying to make it easy on myself. But if he does not resonate with you, please, please, please find something that does, that will put you in a dreamy state, which would allow you, because music really does help you to set the mood. So you want to be in a mood, right? You want to be in a state of, what would it feel like if this were true? Would you be happy? Would you be excited? Would you be calling your girlfriend or your boyfriend and telling them, oh my God, you know what happened? Imagine that. What would that person be saying to you once this has manifested? So it's like going to the end of the story. Don't worry about the how, the what, how it's going to come about, who's going to bring it to you. Don't worry about all that. Just worry about the what. Get clear on the what. That's the what. Not the how, not who's bringing it, not the steps, none of that. Just get clear on the what it is that you want. Sleep in the wish fulfilled and continue on, with your other things as you go on about your day. Your I am statements, I am thankful, and all of that. So have a great day and enjoy your sleep tonight. Have a great day tomorrow. Enjoy your sleep tonight. Remember who you are. Remember that you are source energy right here in a physical body. Remember that you can be, do, and have anything that you desire. And remember, it's not being extraordinary that makes you unique. It is your uniqueness that makes you extraordinary. And I will see you tomorrow. I already have the show queued up. All right? So be here tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And remember to like, comment, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, welcome. You may want to check out the original video and what got this all started. I'm going to put that up here. Maybe it'll be over here at the end. Bye. Have a great night. Thank you, everyone.